May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable to you, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. The Virgin Mary has been many things to many people over the years. But one of the things that nearly all Christians can agree on is that she stands as an exemplar of faith. In our reading today, we hear of that visitation of Gabriel when he came, announcing this life-altering news of her miraculous pregnancy. And as the poet Jan Richardson wrote, Mary responded with one beautiful and awful yes. This moment of yes, this moment of true and perfect faith made me think of another favorite poem of mine, this one also by Jan Richardson, which begins, "If you could see the journey whole, you might never undertake it, might never dare the first step that propels you from the place you have known to the place you know not. Call it one of the mercies of the road, that we see it only by stages as it opens before us, as it comes into our keeping step by single step." I think of these lines often as I move through life and ministry, as I preside over the vows of so many, and as I live out my own promises that I made before God and God's people. And over again, I realize how little we know what we're doing when we offer up our yes. We don't even have the faintest idea what comes next after we begin a relationship, after we start a new job, after we decide to move, after we find out we're having a baby, or after any major life change that we decide on. What trust it takes even just to begin. What faith lies in that moment of, yes, okay, let's try it. And I think of Mary and her shining moment of yes. If she could see the journey whole, she might never have undertaken it, might never have uttered her yes, let it be, to Gabriel that day. We have the benefit of distance and time. We know the major plot points that happened for Mary as a result of that yes. But she had no idea. And I begin to think of all that came from that yes, and it's overpowering. Think of the song that came next for Mary as she stood on the doorstep of her cousin Elizabeth's house, adding her voice to the voices of the prophets. Think of Mary as she paced around in pain of labor on the night of Jesus' birth. Think of Mary and her confusion as she heard the words of the prophet Simeon at the presentation of Jesus at the temple, when he said that the things that would happen to her son would pierce her own soul too. Think of what came next from that yes for Mary as she frantically searches for her missing 12-year-old son in Jerusalem, finding him there in the temple, amazing the elders with his questions. And then later, when he was grown and he returned to their hometown and was rejected by the people that she thought knew them best. Or again, when they were at a wedding of friends in Cana, and Jesus asserts his independence from his mother, doing his first miracle, turning water into wine. And I think of what came from that yes, when Mary heard the news of her son's arrest, and when she saw him stand on trial, and when she stood at the foot of the cross, watching the limbs that she made in her own womb be nailed to that tree. And I think of what came from that yes, in the days that came later when she saw her own son resurrected with those wounds on her side. If you could see the journey whole, you might never undertake it. might never dare the first step that takes you from the place you have been to the place you know not. Call it one of the mercies of the road, that we see it only by stages as it opens up before us, as it comes into our keeping step by single step. We know what lay ahead for Mary after that yes. And so we know how great her faith was that day with Gabriel. We can see now how much she deserves her place of honor as an exemplar of faith, no matter what branch of the Jesus movement you subscribe to. And I think of you and me on our own very particular paths. Like Mary, we have no idea what lies ahead for us. But like Mary and the poet Jan Richardson went on to say, we can be faithful to the next step. She went on, there are vows that only you will know, the secret promises for your particular path, and the new ones you will need to make when the road is revealed by turns you could not have foreseen. Keep them, break them, make them again. Each promise becomes part of the path. Each choice creates the road that will take you to the place where God has called you. May we, like Mary, be faithful to the next step, and then the next, and then the next. Offering up our consent to God, saying, yes, I will follow you. Yes, I will try again. Yes, I will have faith. Yes, yes, yes. Amen.